Hello, Uganda. Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hotseat on 933 KFM. I welcome you, our listeners across this beautiful land, the Pearl of Africa. My name is Patrick Kamara. Tonight, we speak to a medical researcher. Tonight, we speak to a professor of a university. Tonight, we speak with the executive chairman of Jenna Herbals. If you remember, the person who brought to us COVID-X in the fight against COVID-19, he's here, Professor Patrick Ogwang. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening.
Thanks so much, Mr. Kamara, and good evening.
The last time we spoke, humanity was facing an existential threat because we had COVID that was decimating life across the globe. We are all scared. We are looking towards your innovation, your medical research, and your knowledge to save. And yes, you stepped in and you did some work. So as we speak right now, you were supposed to have enhanced, enlarged, extended the production of COVID-X. Tell us about the story of COVID-X as we speak today.
Thank you very much. As of today, I must say that we have slowed down a bit from that momentum we had.
Okay.
I think partly because Africans will respond to crisis. Maybe we wait for another crisis to come up, then we begin looking for who has a solution. But as you said clearly, by now we should have finished the studies on COVID-X, including clinical trials. I want to, of course, begin by commending government because the president directed the clinical trials should be done, and government released money to Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovations, I think 2 years back. But we are still waiting for that money to come also. I think there's some process to be done, signing agreements and all those things. So as I speak right now, we have not completed the control trial of COVID-X, but we are producing COVID-X based on the previous information we had.
But you're saying you have slowed down, but when I go to almost every drugstore in Uganda, chances are that I'm going to find the COVID-X drugs. In my view,
yes,
you seem to have actually accelerated it because I see it everywhere.
Yes, in terms of production capacity and other drugs, we have them in almost every city, every town in this country. But I was referring in terms of research, advancement of research on COVID-19, as well as other potential viruses, that one we have slowed down. But in terms of production of Jenna products, yes, we are doing a lot of production in our factory in Luzira. We're also going ahead to start constructing a factory in Soroti, which will be a modern factory, to be approved by other agencies, including maybe WHO, so we can export our product to other countries. So in terms of production, developing the production product, that's okay. But I'm referring to research and preparedness for another pandemic.
So take us through to the story of COVID-X, because let's not assume that everybody understands it. Because when you stepped in, Professor Ogwang, we are all so scared. We are fighting for our lives, and we thought this was it, to decimate the human population. And of course, not only you, many researchers around the world were also coming up with their own innovations, including people who are working on the vaccine. But I understand this COVID-X is made from indigenous Ugandan plants. How did you arrive at COVID-X?
So before COVID came, I had been doing research for over 17 years. From 2004 to 2021, that's around 17 years. And I'd focus on studying plants in Uganda that are known to have antiviral properties, anti-malarial. If you go and look at my publications, they focus on those kinds of plants. And I not just stopped at doing research and publishing, but I'm going to develop several product lines from those plants. When COVID came, we had already some formulas which we are using for some diseases, viral diseases like in a mouse or cough and so on. So when COVID came, we learned it was a virus. We decided to research on to do review of all the plants we studied before. By then, I was at Mara University, and I'm still there anyway as head of department. And together with my PhD students, we reviewed a number of plants in Uganda, and we selected about 5 plants that we are sure could kill viruses. But now, we did not have funding to begin research from the plants. And then Minister of Science that time, under Dr. Lyoda, advertised for scientists to come up with products that could be tested immediately. So at that time, my team told me that let us submit the formulas that already developed many years ago under Jenna Company. So we submitted 3 products: COVID-X formula, Atemune, and Jenna-Cov, which is used for COVID these days. And from our laboratory work, we found that the most promising formula at the time was COVID-X. So when one of our professors fell sick in December, he's a professor from the US, he was admitted in a hospital in Barara, and was actually going to die. That is a fact. I visited him, and then I gave him COVID-X, 2 bottles. I told him, Professor Tamkong, you are not doing well. This product of mine works on viruses, but I'm not sure if it can kill COVID virus because we're still waiting to test it. But you use it, I think it will help you. And within 2 days, he was discharged from the hospital.
You used him as a guinea pig?
Yes, and he accepted to be the guinea pig. And within 2 days, he left the hospital. But before that, his lungs were getting spoiled. He was COVID-19 positive and he couldn't even walk. His friend, Dr. Silvano, who is a member of our department, who told him the same guy had gotten COVID and was treating it from home. But when he heard that Professor Tamkong had recovered, he also called me and I gave him 3 bottles. After 2 days, he was also negative. That was 2020 December. And then COVID first goes down, then we go into second lockdown.
And these are fellow university professors, visiting professors, right?
Yes.
From the US and other parts of the world?
Yes, from the US. And the first one was from the US.
You are not only treating somebody sick, but you're also getting a serious endorsement.
Yes, from a full professor from the US, and he's a clinical pharmacist, so he's not just an ordinary professor. He deals with the patients. And up to date, he's grateful that I was around him, otherwise he would have died. And that would have been troublesome for our country as well. And then in 2021, second lockdown comes, remember, when they declare lockdown, and COVID begins to increase. And I had a friend in Entebbe whom had been treating for other diseases before. And she called me saying that she has a friend who works with a bank, he's a bank manager, is dying with COVID in a hospital, I think in Kampala here. And the dad, who is a reverend, could only cry now tears, knowing the son was going to die. So I told her that you go to my laboratory in Accra, where I was making the mixtures from. I told them to give us 6 bottles without labels, but the formula was already working. After 2 days, I contacted her. She was like, the patient has been taken off oxygen. And after 4 days, I think it was Saturday, he said that the man has gone back home. That was the 3rd patient I was treating. Meanwhile, in Mbarara, people got to know that Professor Ogwang has medicine for COVID. So all staff, whether it was a relative sick or straight, they will come to my department and I will give them for free, not even buying. So by April, May, Mbara University will already use COVID for 2 months. And I'm glad no staff from Mbara University died because of COVID-19.
I think that was amazing. Even hearing your story right now, I think gives some people some goosebumps, considering where we had reached. Because all of us, we are like at the edge of the grave. We are like anything, how it would take you down a day or 2 and you're gone. Did you at one point share your mixture with other land friends, professors, clinicians, and others from around the world to certify and give you a big endorsement? Say, okay, this drug has an ingredient that actually works.
So before 2021, together with a certain professor called Professor Baruga, we had done some work on a similar plant, and we had sent those samples to South African University. And they're able to identify 4 compounds in their report. And 2 of the compounds kill the viruses, including COVID virus. So I was quite sure that this product has compounds that kill viruses by 2021. However, when I released it to the market, by that time, we didn't have a lot of data to prove that it can work in human beings. However, our team still at Mbara University started it in mice. So we induced a COVID-like situation in the mice, in which the mice develop a lot of inflammation, which they used to call cytokine storm. And then we treat them with this formula, and we found that the formula dampens, it controls that storm very well, showing that even patients of COVID, it could be able to control the cytokine storm, which was killing people actually. The virus was not killing the person, but when the body will get so triggered, the immune system is so triggered, and then you get the reaction, and then the reaction affects your organs, and then lack of oxygen, of course.
Didn't you at one point maybe get concerned that, look, I am giving people medicine or drug, but I am still at the research level. Has not yet been certified. I'm also not very sure that perhaps what is meant to kill could actually take them even sooner. Were you not concerned?
One thing I was very sure about was the safety of the formula.
The efficacy.
The safety. I was very sure that it is safe, because I'd done and published safety work on those plants for many years before. and had submitted similar formulas to NDA for other diseases, National Drug Authority. So in terms of safety, I was sure that it could not harm anybody. But in terms of efficacy, I was doubtful, of course, because I had not had any serious study to show that it's efficacious. I was just trusting on what I knew about it and the need for emergency treatment. My colleagues are down, they are dying, and I know this thing can kill viruses. Let me try it on them if they consent. So when they consented, I gave it to them, and thank God they recovered.
But even when you know it's efficacious, again, it can be challenging, especially when you're going to mass produce it.
Yes.
Because in the process, it can get contaminated, or other things could happen.
Yeah, that's true. Because when it comes to mass production, you can give medicine to 2-3 people and you don't get any problem. But when you give to millions of people, there's a likelihood that some of them will get some reactions. So that's a serious possibility. So indeed, that was a big worry to me, that in case there is claim that someone has died because of COVID-19, then I'm going to lose zero. However, at that time, I was also considering the people who are dying, and I have this solution, which seems to be working. What do? I keep quiet, and then later say that I had something when people already died, or I go ahead and face the situation, and then say, let us use this as we wait for information to come. So I'm glad that the courage was there to mass produce and give it to people, not only Ugandans.
But what I also don't understand, because the last time I heard about this story is like the medicine was first produced, you did it to fight sickle cells, malaria, and other illnesses. And I'm thinking, how did you repurpose it now to fight COVID?
Yeah, so as I say that for 17 years I've been studying some plants to look at their we call them pharmacological properties. So you look at this plant, what compounds are there? What kind of disease can it cure? Over 17 years. And I developed products for other diseases from the same formula. So when COVID came and we knew it was a virus, we used computer studies, what we call in silico studies. Now in silico studies, you get the compound structure and you connect it with the structure of a virus, and you see if it binds to it and the energies by which it binds. If the energies are low, then likely that compound could kill that virus. So based on computer studies, we had some prediction that these compounds could actually kill the COVID virus.
But as a clinician, as a medical doctor, professor, a drug that kills viruses is not very easy to find, and very easy. Many viruses, I'm told, they don't even have drugs.
Yeah, so generally, there are drugs that kill viruses, but they may not eliminate it from the body completely, like we see for HIV virus. ARVs can kill them, but they can hide somewhere. However, it takes the immune system to eliminate it. For COVID-X, we cannot claim that it could remove the virus completely. One thing we knew that it could suppress it to a point that it stops being a problem to the immune system, and then it can be mopped out by the immune system. Yeah.
I'm sure after the story went around the world and in Uganda, and I remember at one point you became a man of interest. Actually, you're working with sharpshooters around you. That must have changed your life. You wake up one day and you found your most important person in Uganda. You must get guarded. Are you still being guarded?
Yes, I still have security with me. Not really those sharpshooters I talk about. I'm very small for the sharpshooters. But I have security given to me by government, and I'm grateful because some people think I have a lot of money, so they may want to waylay me on the way, but actually I do not have much money these days. So I still have security, and I'm grateful for government for that.
How did that change your life from a university professor doing your work at Mbarara University of Science and Technology to somebody walking with men and guns around you? That must have changed your life for you to get used to it.
Yeah, actually, I want to say that being guarded is not a good thing. It's not good to have security, but for your own life, you have to accept them. But there's less freedom. For example, those that could go like to downtown Mbarara and buy gonja on the roadside and eat and walk. Now I cannot do that. They will say that place you cannot go. So definitely my life has changed in that I'm no longer free to do what I want to do because I need to be careful. I cannot go some places every day like I used to do. I have to change places each now and then. So that definitely has affected my personal life and family life. Even at the university, students see me walking around with a policeman around me. And I'm the only guarded person in the entire university. Yeah, but to some extent, it's also an honor that when you do something good, the nation takes care of you. You are taken as an important asset. So that's the one honor that I thank God for.
Professor Patrick Ogwang, medical researcher and executive chairman, Jenna Herbals. We're going to take a break on the hot seat. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the hot seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight is Professor Patrick Ogwang, a medical researcher, University Don, and executive chairman of Jenna Herbals Limited, the man who founded COVIDX that was fighting COVID-19. You know, we stopped before we took a break at a time of you and finding yourself now with security all over you. But did it occur to you that actually your life could be in danger because of the knowledge that you have? Because I can imagine pharmaceutical companies around the world, if there's this university professor in the middle of Africa is actually getting a remedy that could solve the issue that is causing trouble to humanity. Now, how does that put you into a target?
Yeah, so first of all...
Well, it looks like the security was forced on you. But
no, I asked for security myself.
Okay.
Because I was actually fearful of two things. One, that my factory might be banned. You know, there's some bad people who could choose to go and ban the place. So I asked for security for the factory where we're making from in Arkwright. Secondly, I also worried for my own personal safety. So I also asked for my own personal safety. Indeed, it's true that once you come up with something that's challenging drug companies, they can terminate you. And that time I was receiving calls from many people. I received calls from Turkey, from UK. I had some Americans that had come to look for me. 6 Americans came to Bar University that they want to work with me. I had generals calling. Some were calling for good, others were calling for threat.
Wait a minute. Even somebody could call to threaten you?
Yes.
And what would they say?
Some would
You're
say,
trying to do something good for humanity.
Some would say you are conning people, you are depriving people, many stories. Yeah, so I knew that I could potentially become a target. And also, sorry to say, but people had prepared for the second wave of COVID-19. People had expanded their hospitals. People had brought in oxygen cylinders. People had imported drugs, vitamin C.
Because by then, we were paying almost $1 million shillings or 2 million shillings per day
to be in a hospital.
Yes,
and then
and somebody would die after spending a week in hospital, and your bill is about 150 million.
Exactly, and
so that could be a problem.
Yes, so now you bring something which is cheaper, and people are not coming to hospital. That is serious. If I imported my drugs was 1 billion shillings. Let me tell you something which is true. My staff went to Chireka to supply Jenna products. And when they entered some pharmacy, they said they're from Jenna. And the person who on the phone told them that I hate Ogwang. And they are surprised. Why did the man say that he hates Ogwang? And they asked him why. He said that he imported these medicines was 1.5 million, got a loan and brought drugs was 1.5 million, expecting the second wave to take more medicines. And then COVID has come and he never sold his medicines. So he has a debt. 1.5 billion. So can you blame such a man for being annoyed with Ogwang?
Oh dear. So the threats were real.
So that people burned their hands, expecting to sell more, and then they fail, and now they're blaming COVIDX. Yes, so they are real.
But at the beginning of your concoction that we later got to know as COVIDX, you also had a pull and push between yourself and Ibarra University.
Yeah, that story will never end. Everywhere I go, they ask. Yeah, but I'm happy that one.
It was resolved, yes, but
I'm still working in Ibarra University. They love me actually. They love me for what I did during COVID time, and I'm happy that there was also an investigation by the council, and their report is there to be shared by anyone who wants. They found actually the truth. The truth was that he had made the formula many years ago, and it was under Jenna. The mass formula was with Jenna Herbals Limited. But indeed, I worked in Ibarra University Laboratory to test it. So the university could claim use of the laboratory equipment, and it is students, but not ownership of the formula.
This is very interesting how you are working with the university, but then you are also doing a side gig of your own within the university. You're like moonlighting in the same university.
Yeah, so it looks like I was cheating.
Yes.
But before I joined the university, I already had the company in place. And I already had made over 10 products by the time I joined the university. So the university knew that this man has his products, has his company. They should have chosen not to recruit me at that time if I was not good to them. But as I said, sometimes we must look at things from different angles. I personally believe that every professor should have a private practice place where you translate knowledge from the practice place to the classroom, from the classroom to the practice place. Like now, for me, who does research in natural medicine, like now, if you go to my industry, students come from Bahrain University to learn from the industry how to make these medicines. Every time they come, I have my own students whom I trained. I've recruited them. Over 6 of them are working for me. So I'm creating jobs while also working in the university. My students which I train get jobs in my company. And then also my work benefits the public. But it's important for a professor to be in a university and to be in the private sector only. Because at the university, that's where there's brain stimulation. You have knowledge, the knowledge is vast. You have your fellow professors to discuss matters with and to innovate alongside with. But that knowledge should come to application.
Do you know, Professor, that some people would come and buy Covidex from you, let's say of 500,000 from Entebbe. Before they reach Kampala, that medicine of 500,000 has reached 5 million.
I did not know.
Did you know that people made a lot of money off?
I got to know later. So actually, I don't know if people were overcharging, because for us we were charging 5,000 per bottle. At first it was 3,000. Then I was advised to increase to 5. But people were selling at 20,000, 50,000 after leaving the factory. And somebody called me and said, Professor, you better go on TV, people are being cheated. Go on TV and tell the true value of Covidex. I went on TV and said, we sell Covidex at 5,000. Please, if you're overcharging, sell at 15 or 20. And then someone called me and said, Professor, go back to the laboratory, leave issue of price to us. Professor, go back to the laboratory.
Yes.
Issue of price, leave it to
us. But Professor, is it sometimes, is it not even painful that somebody is making exorbitant, colossal sums of money off your idea, yet you're just paying little to buy it from you, and they make huge sums of money?
Yeah, at first I had some bit of pain or regret that I did not make a lot of money that time when Paul made a lot of money. But when I got support from the President Museveni, it covered that pain, because what I could have made, it gave me support. So indeed, but one thing is that even though people charge very expensive, there are many people who tell me that even though they bought at 100,000, the life of their mother or their father was saved. So still I commend those who looked for Covidex from the factory and took it to Kabale, took it to Arua to save lives.
But talking about the support you got from the government or from the president, I remember during the presentation of the 2024-25 national budget, Minister Matia Kasaija announced that the government had provided 2.7 billion shillings to support Jenna Herbals to undertake clinical trials of your natural therapeutics. How did it go? So you're a billionaire, Professor.
Maybe. Maybe I was before even Covidex came. Now, indeed, government apportioned 2 sets of money. One was 2.07 billion for factory work to continue building the factory, and then 2.75 for clinical trials. Minister of Finance released the one for the factory construction, the 2.07, although we requested for 11, so I'm still waiting for 9 billion to finish the factory. Then the one for clinical trials was released also for Science, Technology and Science, Technology and Innovation Office of the President.
Okay.
But for some reason, there have been some challenges getting that done for clinical trial. So the one for the factory, indeed I've received it through Minister of Science and Technology, and we put the money into the factory. I don't have it in my pocket, but you can go and find a factory in Soroti growing.
So you're still constructing the factory?
Yes, we're still constructing it.
But you will need some international certification about what you're doing.
Yeah, that's why.
And what level will that come?
Now, that if we finish, the next step now is to put what we call clean rooms and air conditioning system. That's a very expensive step. So I'm waiting for the remaining money to be given to me so I can put that clean rooms and air conditioning system. At that point now, WHO can come and inspect, find it's okay, then they can approve it, certify it.
But in the meantime, is the Jenna products selling across the borders?
Yes, we are selling across the border, but not officially. Like now, we haven't registered.
What do you mean, you're smuggling it out?
No. People come and buy, and they go with them in the bus. But we have orders from Botswana, they want to sell Jenna products in Botswana and other countries. But they're requesting for one document called CGMP, Certificate of Good Manufacturing Practice, which we're working with the National Authority to have it given to us. I think by this month or next month we shall get it, then we can start exporting to Botswana.
Certificate of Good Manufacturing
Practices.
Practices.
Yeah.
Okay, which I'm sure even National Drug Authority, before any drug is imported in Uganda, they have
the demand for it.
The demand for that.
Yeah. It shows quality, it shows consistency, and you can assure the public that your products are safe throughout.
Have you been having people officially and informally to come and see for themselves about your manufacturing practices?
Even right now, national authorities in my factory with herbalists. So we have become a benchmarking factory for herbal medicine manufacture. NDA brings people there to learn from our system, because I have a fully fledged system with professionals at all departments, and we test our batches. Every batch we test water, we test materials. We're following the internationally accepted standards of practice in manufacturing medicine. That's why our products are of good quality in this country and even beyond.
We're going to take a break. Professor Patrick Ogwang and Hotseat.
7 to 8 p.m.
Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hotseat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight is Professor Patrick Ogwang. And, earlier there was money that the government promised. One is to build the factory, even though they gave you a small percentage. And the other was supposed to be for clinical trials. Have they given you a reason why that money hasn't come? Because, they need to go together. You can't have a factory without doing the drug being tested, going through all the certification that it requires.
Yeah, I really want us to do clinical trials of COVID-19 because I think as a country we missed money in 2021 from exports because we do not have clinical trial data. If we had clinical trial data, we would with confidence tell any country that we have medicine for COVID-19. So I know that government released that money like 2 years ago, but for some reason it was not given to me or to the research team. However, last week, Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation approached me. We have signed some agreement for them to release the money. So hopefully the money will be released, and then we can do
that sounds good. But also, I remember members of Parliament questioning why they should be giving you Jenna Herbals that money to do clinical trials, yet National Drug Authority had actually accepted the drug to be used in the field on patients, as if that had been overtaken.
So there are two scenarios by which NDA can allow you to use a medicine before registration, or maybe how NDA accepts medicine. Let me explain. One, if a medicine is made from traditional medicine plants, NDA requires three things at first. One is safety, that the medicine is safe. Two, that it's a plant, made from a plant, which is traditionally used, because that also guarantees safety. And then three, quality, that's not contaminated by anything. Based on that, and they can give you what we call notification. Notification means that your medicine can be used by the public pending other more information or data. Then now you can go ahead and do clinical trial, then it can be taken as what? A cure for a condition. But for this stage, they will call it a supportive treatment, because it's not proven to cure, but
an emergence of sorts.
Emergence of sorts. So that is what NDA did. But now it gives us time to go ahead and do clinical trials, for now declaring it as a complete cure for the disease.
I also remember on the orders of the president, Uganda Investment Authority was told to give you land for Jenna Herbals, about 5 acres of land on where to put your industry. Did you get that?
Yes, I got the land that very year, 2021, and in Soroti, 5 acres. And if you go there, you'll find a structure there. I told you we started construction, and now we're done with the external shell. We're only remaining with now the inside, which is the most important part, the clean rooms and air conditioning system, which we did about 9 billion to finish. And I'm requesting for that money to be released.
Why was the factory being built all the way from here to Soroti?
Because raw materials, I get them from Karamoja, Teso. Most of it, the COVID raw materials come from Teso and Karamoja. All those other plants come from Kabale. So I think because of one, proximity to raw materials, but also two, it's good that we remove things from Kampala and take them to other cities to decongest Kampala. Kampala is getting congested. So building a factory in Soroti will keep, instead of moving to Kampala, they remain in Soroti and work there and reduce these congested routes.
Have you at one point been called by other pharmaceutical industries around the world, maybe to make your presentation, or for them to want to have a collaboration with you or something like that?
I have received very many Italy, the US, even I've been invited to South Africa to go and make University of KwaZulu-Natal. They have a conference there for pharmacologists. They wanted to go and present. For the US and Italy, I never went for my personal reasons.
Okay.
But South Africa
would you want to share that?
I know. for South Africa, I will go and present and even teach students for like 1 week. But I've also received people who want to invest in my company. They have come with $3 million, $5 million to inject them, but I've refused foreign funding.
But here you are, you want some funding, you want to money like yesterday, and people are bringing money and you don't want to use it.
Yeah, I don't.
Why is that? I
don't want to use foreign funding because I have seen local factories that teamed up with foreign funders. You can do your research. They are worse than they were before. I know one company whereby Ugandans owned 100%, but when the foreign company came, they own now 5%. Is that good for us? Not good. You bring their money, they own 95% goes to foreigners. So we better do ours slowly, but remains ours.
Yeah, but you see now it's almost 5 years, and the factory, just a shell.
Yes, it is 5 years, but still, it's good to be patient. That's my principle. I think that I don't want to go the direction of foreign companies coming to drain the company, then they leave it when it was. Sometimes they come with a bad agenda to destroy the company and the future of my research. So since we can slowly look for money and government can support slowly, we will get there.
On top of the 5 acres of land, Jenna Herbals was also supposed to get a 10-year tax holiday.
Yes, we did get a tax holiday for 10 years, but there are some limitations also. I still pay some taxes. I still pay as you earn for my staff. They still ask for withholding tax, 6%. Even some VAT equipment. Recently I won a grant from BioInnovate Africa to do research on malaria medicine treatment. We invest in South Sudan and Congo and Pharmacy Society of Uganda. And I imported some equipment and I had to pay taxes for the research equipment. They told me that if equipment is below a certain figure, you pay taxes.
Okay.
So yes, we got some relief in terms of income tax and maybe some VAT below a certain threshold, but not 100%, but we're still grateful.
So most of these medicine is actually coming out from plants, natural plants. And when you look at the devastation of the environment, doesn't it really concern you that, look, humanity may actually get hit hard unless we keep our environment? If you talk about forests in Karamoja and Teso, and yet I can see the area is being cleared at an alarming rate.
Okay, right now there's no forest in Teso. The whole of Teso, there's no forest. People have cut it all down. And even other parts of the country, if you go to Western Uganda, they are cutting forests and planting sugarcane. And those forests contain the medicine that we need to conserve and promote for the future. So I think that there's need for government to get know that these forests are more than just a plantation or more than just trees. We have good things in those forests. And they are yet still diseases. Some more diseases are yet to come. We don't know.
And well, that's another good thing you've said. Some diseases are yet to come and we don't know. There's also a possibility that our plants that we have could have the medicinal ingredient that can cure the disease of 50 years from now.
Yes, very, very possible. So we may be cutting down medicines that could help us 50 years from now. And that's why I one time proposed to government that we need to have a database of all our medicinal plants and have them conserved. At Mbara University, we began a project. We got land and divided into 7 sections to conserve medicinal plants from all parts of Uganda and also the ones that brought internet. So we have place from Northern Uganda, Western Uganda, Central, conserve that place so we don't lose them. And people can start growing them if they're useful.
The problem is that growing some of these indigenous trees can take years. Some of them grow. It's not like you are growing your eucalyptus tree.
Yes, right now we buy Prunus africana from Bushenyi, I think Bazile Balawa's family. But he told me it was planted by their grandfather who never lived to taste it, to taste money from it. But the grandchildren are benefiting from it.
And people are saying Prunus africana it's like a miracle tree.
Yes, for the prostate problem, it isn't exported. Even if you have a tree on your compound, people can come and steal it at night and take it. the demand for it is high. But I'm happy that some old man in Bushenyi grew it many years ago.
I saw it in Bundubuju at a tourism stall, and somebody's making a lot of money out of it.
Yeah, so you should grow one in your compound and begin taking the leaves in your tea because it helps with your prostate.
Okay, but, you know, Professor Patrick Ogwang, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I just want to ask you as a scientist, what scares you? What worries you? Because I'm told researchers like you sometimes are on their edge, thinking there could be another big one coming. Could there be another big one?
There will definitely be another one.
That is likely to scare.
We don't know how far from now, but there will definitely be a big one.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest tonight is a medical researcher, University Dawn Executive Chairman, Jenna Herbals Limited, Professor Patrick Ogwang, the man who brought to us COVIDX to fight COVID-19. You know, when coronavirus hit the world, I understand the world has always been on standby, waiting for a flu-like pandemic that could hit the world, since we had experienced something like that, the Spanish flu, almost 100 years ago. That people are always on the edge, thinking anything would come and maybe spread like influenza and decimate us. We have seen COVID. Professor Ogwang, do you also believe there could be another big one?
You know, centuries back, scientists were not manipulating organisms. But as I speak today, they are manipulating organisms in the lab. And I think you know the argument of in the US where there was research called gaining function. Did you hear about that research in the US and Chinese? There was research to say gaining function, and that's how COVID came. So some people believe that they got the flu virus, and then they made it to be much more virulent, much more tougher, and be able to spread. And then we think that that's how the lab in Wuhan is where the virus broke out from. So I have no doubt that there could be some crazy scientist somewhere trying another virus again to destabilize the world. But the question is, as a nation, what are we doing? Should anything come up? Are we going to learn?
There could be some evil geniuses somewhere,
yes,
also handling their thing,
creating things to
destabilize.
So what shall we do? Maybe this time might not be Ogwang again, which will be lucky to do something. But if we can have a system that makes us prepared for pandemics, it will be good. But right now, I can assure you there's no system that we are saying we are doing this. When a pandemic comes, we shall handle using this, except using lockdown maybe.
Do we have some mechanism of surveillance of flu around the world, or even in our country? People keep checking because the thing can break out from anywhere, especially if it is zoonotic. The
surveillance system of Uganda is very good because we have learned from Ebola, we've learned from Marburg. So surveillance is very good. The Ministry of Health doing a great work there. We have field epidemiologists that go and follow cases, like now even when we had this other monkeypox. Yes, we managed to contain it because the surveillance system is good. But what I'm saying that in case of a breakout that overcomes our surveillance system, how do we handle it? Where you need a cure, you need a preventive, what do you do? So that's my concern, that we need to have laboratory work going on, testing various compounds, various plants, and having them archived. So when a disease comes, let us try this one.
You know, COVID taught me one thing, that human beings we can hate each other and do whatever we do and have a lot of enmity. But I realized that every time you move out of your home and you go out and you meet people, there's a lot of ingestion. You are ingesting people's DNA and people's whatever. It is always mixing because that's when we came with this social distancing. So imagine you have gone to a shopping mall and all the strangers you have met there, their material has mixed with yours. That's like a constant? Only that this time around is not making you sick, but you have mixed.
That is true. So each time we move around, I'm passing here, but somebody coughed from here. So when I move, the air in that environment is having this cough, I take them in. So indeed, we're always taking things from one another.
Can you imagine? That alone, because when they said we have to wash our hands 5 times, or all the time,
wear masks,
have to social distance and wear masks, then I'm like, wait a minute. So it means, as human beings, we have been sharing all this body DNA or material without knowing, and yet here we are sometimes fighting against it.
Yeah, but to some extent it's also good because it's one way that our body will develop immunity against some infection, dangerous thing. Because if I get small dose from you, it will not knock me down, but my body will develop immunity to it. In fact, there's evidence that when went to lockdown, people's immune system went down. After that, people got more sick than they were before.
Oh, really?
Yes, because so that interaction is good for us to develop resistance to various conditions. In fact, they believe that Africa will have survived COVID-19 because we're always around monkeys, we're always in forests. Maybe the virus was even here before the bats had a similar virus.
Somehow we have been sharing.
We have been sharing with the bats, so our body had known something about it in Africa. As compared to Europeans who kill all their bats, they kill all their insects, they don't have anything in the environment to make them get that.
And I've just been reading something today to show that a human body is full of millions, perhaps trillions of other living organisms in us, especially in our guts.
The gut,
that we have so many billions of things that we also need. Sometimes you don't even have to clean your body out of these fungi and bacteria and whatever they are, but there they are. We are like a galaxy.
Okay, that's true, because these days we are discovering that you can actually use the microbiota. Microbiota is the bacteria in your gut to treat you. So some are making tablets out of the bacteria. You have some disease, they get the bacteria in your stomach, they multiply it, and they make a tablet out of it, and then you swallow to treat some disease that you have. So indeed, our body contains what we call normal flora, which protects us from other diseases. So if you over clean them, you become vulnerable.
But there's something good came out of that, because the behavior change of washing or sanitizing and stuff like that was a good thing.
To some extent, yes, it was a good thing, but to some extent it was not a good thing.
Because we became so vulnerable.
Yes.
We became so weak.
We need a little bit of bacteria here and there, viruses here and there to keep strong.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody was asking whether we have COVID-25.
Right now, there's almost everyone I meet has flu and cough. And it takes weeks and weeks. Yesterday, my wife was like, since she needs to go and do a self-test of COVID-19. So we're not sure whether there's a virus moving around. So people, of course, are sick, but they're not being admitted. So there could be a COVID
There's something I have observed from President Museveni. Whereas we think COVID went 4 years ago, still, if you are to go to State House today, you have first to take a COVID test and must come out negative. But when you also reach at the State House entrance, you either have a mask on, and even when you reach there, you'll have to sanitize. But even that is not enough. You'll still have to social distance. Is our president just being too cautious?
I think he's one person who is very careful with life, and he does not want people to die. That's one thing I realized about President Museveni. When I interacted with him, he really does not want anyone to die. Whether you're in opposition or you're in NRM, he wants people to stay alive. So I think it is just in his DNA
it's mental programming.
Yeah, to be secure at all time.
Precision of a military general. So, do you think? Are you hopeful that the money will come? The factory is going to be completed. Do you have a timeline or something?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that the money will come, because one, government will release some 2 billion shillings. So I believe that in the next financial year or this financial year, they will still release the remaining 9, so I can finish. In fact, I should be now moving towards, I should have completed the factory by now. I should have been focusing on the laboratory, because 2 things, research and development and manufacturing. So right now we are still struggling with manufacturing, but we also need to have it finished, and we begin other things. Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank you so much, Professor Patrick Ogwang, medical researcher, university professor, executive chairman, Jenna Herbals. But before I let you go, are you sure people are not making their own versions of Covidex? In other words, trying to cheat us?
During the high demand for Drug Authority, and when we ran the tests, it was totally not Covidex at all. So indeed, they are forging. There are also people who try to forge it in Mbarara. So in Mbarara, even they are supplying, they are taking it to hospital to give to patients, and patients are not recovering. So until they called me to give them original one. In Accra, my neighbor was taking and he was not recovering. He was taking with the family, but they are still coughing and coughing. Then he called me. We were like, let's send for you the one from the factory. And when we gave him, he recovered in 2 days. So there was a fake Covidex around. But now I don't think anyone is making a fake one, because the demand is low.
All right. Professor Patrick Ogwang, I want to thank you so much. What's going to be your concluding remark on this show tonight?
First, I want to thank KFM for always finding time to invite me, because when I come, then people hear Ogwang's voice. So thank you for inviting me. And when people hear my voice, they know how far we are moving. So I'm grateful for that to KFM management and to you, Patrick Kamara, and your friends. I also want to thank government for the effort given so far. I cannot take it for granted. And I call upon them to complete the money they promised me, so I finish my work well. And I want to thank the president. I'll never stop thanking him, because he rescued my neck that time when I was about to be squeezed by a number of people. Thank you.
Professor Patrick Ogwang, University Dawn Executive Chairman, Jenna Herbals, the maker of COVIDX that helped us to get through the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to thank you so much for the time you have given us, for the submission, but also for the innovation that stepped in to help in saving Ugandans and the rest of humanity. Thank you so much.
Thank you too.
And that brings us to the end of the next edition of the Hot Seat. Join us again tomorrow, same time, same station. Good night.